Yes, this is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
You idiot!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Thursday. We're going to have some fun. We have hilarious stories today, including the failure to launch. Ron DeSantis destroys himself. Oh, you're going to love that story. It's my favorite story of the day. We're going to start out, again, with a lot of fun. Then we have Marjorie Greene. Look, Democrats actually treating Marjorie Greene with the reverence that she deserves. You're going to enjoy that. Then, of course, we have some information about the Florida mom that got a school to ban a poem, an inauguration poem that was read at Biden's inauguration, obviously. Interesting information about her. You're not going to be surprised. We then are going to talk about Charlie Kirk going after Target. And Target bowing to the mob, the right-wing mob. Terrible. And then, of course, we do have Maxwell Frost going after Republicans on a favored talking point against student debt forgiveness, relief, all that stuff. So that is very interesting. And I'm going to tell you that the response that he received from one Republican who actually gets a lot of money from student loan servicers. So we've got all those stories. Fun day, as usual. So before we dive in, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps us out greatly. There were a couple of questions here. One question is, are we having a Memorial Day show? We are not. So we'll not be there. Stuart Rhodes got sent to 18 years in prison. Yes. Turns out being involved in a seditious conspiracy gonna get you in jail. Who would have known? That's a really long sentence too. So there's that. All right. I think we're all caught up here. Again, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. With that said, let's do it. Isn't the punishment for treason execution? That's why it's seditious conspiracy, not treason. Okay. But I know, you make a good point. I'm against the death penalty, though, and, you know, as a good lefty, I mean, we all are. Am I right? Okay. With that said, yeah, I'm drinking coffee this late. Got to do what we got to do. Can we jail Trump for that too? I mean, Merrick Garland, I mean, you're making that decision right there. Okay, anyway, so let's start out with Ron DeSantis.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
Yeah, I think we've got just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat. All right, we're just reallocating more server capability to be able to handle the load here. It's really going crazy. So,
Now, what you just watched is an example of, well, the beginning of Ron DeSantis' 2024 campaign experiencing some rapid, unscheduled disassembly. Now, look, Twitter, specifically Twitter Spaces, during this presidential announcement crashed several times. In fact, there's about 30 minutes of technical glitches. I don't think I've ever had 30 minutes of technical glitches. Maybe once or twice, but then again, it's just me and not on a $44 billion platform. Hey, I'm not saying it's worth $44 billion, but that's what Elon Musk paid for it. I think he got screwed. But anyway, now that was 30 minutes of glitches, crashes, and of course, people making fun of them for it. But hey, afterwards, Florida governor was able to get on and give a stump speech about how he's going to fight against the woke banks, DEI and ESG and ABC, 1, 2, 3. Gotta go after the wokes. The wokers. Instead of actually, talking about policies that would make average people's lives better, he just focused on policies on how to make trans people's lives worse. Yeah. So now, the glitches, and they were fun, included Twitter Spaces music intro, starting when Elon Musk was talking. That's a little bit of an error there. You also, of course, had people coming in with echo. Basically, it reminded me of like a leftist podcast, which, by the way, well, I'm a leftist podcaster, so I would know, leftist audio, basically. And people getting booted out of the space, taking forever to load back in. It couldn't handle it. Now, why anybody would decide to use this untested platform, these Twitter Spaces, to launch their presidential campaign, I have no idea. Why would you do such a thing? I'm pretty sure that somebody at some point fired. Whoever came up with that idea, oof. Now that said, obviously, I'm gonna get some Elon simps jumping into my comment section to defend him. Oh, what are you talking about? It's new technology. It's very advanced. Elon Musk, very smart. He builds rockets. No, he doesn't build rockets. He pays other people to build rockets. He doesn't even design the rockets. He just says, make rocket go. Here, money. No, what Twitter Spaces is right now is radio, but worse. At least radio works. I mean, come on. That said, look, 600,000 users were tuned in the first few minutes on Elon Musk's account, which immediately, again, crashed. It couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle the load. Big load. Tremendous load. A gigantic load. Actually, no, it wasn't. It wasn't actually that big. At least compared to some of the other examples I'm going to give you. But moderator David Sachs said in a separate space he created with his own account, after the first one unceremoniously crashed, said, man, I think we melted the internet there. No. The only thing that you melted was the servers. And that's because Elon Musk fired everyone who could actually keep the damn thing running. Moron.
You idiot.
Okay. He also said, I think it crashed because when you multiply 500,000 people in a room by an account with just over 100 million followers, with just Elon's account, I think that creates just a scalability level that is unprecedented. No, it's just you guys suck at your job. Twitter sucks. It's a disaster, and it sucks, and you're bad at your job, and you should feel bad. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, that said, after the event, Sachs claimed on Twitter that the event was by far the largest room ever held on social media. No, not even close. Nope. More than 12 million people showed up to Travis Scott's Fortnite concert back in 2020. I mean, you were flat out gaslighting people. And everybody in space, in this Twitter space that was able to talk was, of course, kissing Musk's ass, including Ron DeSantis. It was gross. It was pathetic. Just absolutely disgusting to sit there and watch just the level of ass kissing. But anyway, that said, people on both sides of the aisle had a lot of fun with this. It's one of those rare times where the right and left have teamed up to make fun of someone. In this case, both Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis. Now, let me show you one of them. Here's a tweet from AOC, who pointed out, hey, look at that. We had more people join when I played Among Us. Awesome. I love it. Then, let's see. Let's go to the next one here. Hold. Cat turd. The problem with DeSantis' launch on Twitter Spaces wasn't the glitches and crashes. The problem was a boring snooze fest. Nobody being honest can say otherwise. I mean, hey, it's got a point. Ron DeSantis has absolutely no charisma. You put him against Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he's a monster in 400 different ways. But goddamn, at least he's entertaining. An entertaining monster. There's more. Joe Biden got into it. That's right. President Biden saying, this link works. Damn. Look, man, I got to tell you, when President Joe Biden, he was like 80 years old, when he dunks on you on the internet, you just pack it up. Go home. Go home. You're never, no, you're done. You're done. It's over. It's over. But no, it's not even, this isn't even the best reaction. Oh no, it actually gets even better. Turns out Fox News trolled him. Fox News. Amateur hour. Amateur. Much hyped presidential announcement. A disaster for Twitter due to tech issues. Want to actually see and hear Ron DeSantis? Tune into Fox News. Oh my God. An absolute disaster. I love it. I love it. But let me tell you what. The best trolling is obviously going to come from chief troll, former President Donald Trump. Here's what he posted on his True Social. Quote, Rob, not even using Ron DeSantis' real name. That's funny. My red button is bigger, better, stronger, and is working. Yours does not. Wow, the DeSantis Twitter launch is a disaster. His whole campaign will be a disaster. Watch. Adding, was the DeSantis launch fatal? Yes. One of the best things, though, that I've seen is this video he posted to his account.
I'm proud to be an American. And I won't forget the men who died.
We are kind of melting the servers.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Sentiment to freedom and his willingness to put his money where his mouth is. Upset the narrative control imposed on us by our government.
Who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up.
Have Governor DeSantis make this. We're just trying to get it going.
Oh my God. Look, man, that's brutal. That's freaking brutal. Look, as far as like, oh, that, the song that Donald Trump uses, whatever, that plays well with conservative audiences. But the fact that, again, the brutality here. No, Ron DeSantis. It's, again, fatality. It's over. Ron DeSantis, the day he launched, is the day he lost. Oh, yeah, other notable postings, at least one other from Trump, is a picture of Elon Musk launching his rocket and then it crashing. So, there you go. I love it when they fight. Yeah, when it comes to trolling, Trump is way, way better at it. Ron DeSantis is a wet noodle. All right. Anyway, let's move on. More fun. Oh, you know what? I should have added, hold on.
There's insanity in the control room.
Better. That would have been great. Okay, but anyway. Let's move on.
The members are reminded to abide by decorum of the House.
That was probably the most appropriate response to Marjorie Taylor Greene I've probably ever seen. I really don't think that you can top that one. Now, look, decorum. You must abide by decorum in the House. I'm not a fan of decorum. I think you're all, pretty. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know that I really dislike decorum, but maybe that's partly why this is so funny, because it's actually hilarious. Not just the fact that, again, you have people laughing at a politician, but it just happens to be Marjorie Taylor Greene. Couldn't happen to a better person. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And of course, the reason that Democrats mostly were laughing at her, and by the way, notice that there weren't really any Republicans that were defending her either, it's because of things like this.
That was quite entertaining from someone that had a sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, and everyone knows it. But
I move to take her words down.
Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion.
Just a couple of examples. There's a lot more. But anyway, you get the point. That Marjorie Greene calling for decorum. Hilarious. People got their shots in, and it's great. Representative Jimmy Gomez compared Greene's call for decorum to Leonardo DiCaprio telling people to date their own age. Zinger. I love it. Other people on Twitter, David Korn says, this is rich, coming from someone who amplified calls for the assassination of Obama and Nancy Pelosi, to which I have to say, Obama. Exactly. Jason Overstreet says, I understand the decorum of the House must remain, but considering the seditionist nature of this horrific woman, I think this is appropriate. True. Marjorie Greene has no business being in the United States House of Representatives. She's a traitor. She should be in prison. Wow. Another person says that laughter was almost instantaneous. It was. Then it devolved into jeers and some boos. While no one on the Republican side of the aisle seemed very anxious or particularly interested in defending her, as the Democrats mocked the Congresswoman. True. Republicans against Trump noted, no one represents better the hypocrisy and shallowness of today's GOP than Marjorie Taylor Greene. What a clown. Well, it's what I keep saying. You elect a clown, you're going to get a circus. That's it. Moving on. Okay. Get the Getsbacho police to arrest her.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
And why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated.
True. Okay. Anyway, let's move on and talk about white supremacy. Great. A Florida parent who managed to get a school to ban Amanda Gorman's inauguration poem has a rather dark history of supporting some pretty dark things. Let's just say that. Now, Denda Salinas complained to Florida about some books. So now those complaints led Florida school to restrict access to The Hill We Climb, which is a book adaptation of the poem Gorman recited at President Biden's inauguration. Now, Gorman, she's 22 years old. She's the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history. She's a woman of color, and all of those are very, incredible achievements for young people. Young people are based, they're the future, and they're amazing, and they scare racists and bigots. I mean, again, people very angry bigots. All right. So in the Bob Graham Education Center in Miami Lakes, Florida, because of the complaints from Ms. Salinas, pulled two other titles, The ABCs of Black History and Love to Langston, from its elementary school section after a single complaint from Salinas with two children at the school, the Miami Herald first reported. The complaints reviewed by the Daily Beast revealed that Salinas reported the books for things like, wait for it, critical race theory and gender ideology. Because of course. And indoctrination. Because of course, right? Now, Salinas wrote of The Hill We Climb, quote, is not educational and have indirectly hate messages. Salinas wrote, by the way, she incorrectly described it as being authored by Oprah. It was not authored by Oprah. The book does feature a foreword by Oprah Winfrey, but again, written by Amanda Gorman. But anyway, one of the pages Salinas complained about read this: somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. Now, the following, words come from this poem as well, saying, we the successors of a country in a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And of course, it goes on, but that's generally the point. So when you look at the context there, it actually means that we're all coming together. What does that have to do with, how is this hate messages? I don't get it. How is this critical race theory? I don't know. I guess she mentioned that descendants of slaves. Oh no! Look, I don't understand why she's mad. But then again, I'm also not into white nationalism, not into white supremacy. And I say that because it seems like she might be. Salinas, who filed complaints against 5 different books, appears to be connected to multiple far-right organizations, attending events with Moms for Liberty and the Proud Boys. One of the bigger Proud Boys, by the way, just got sentenced to 18 years for seditious conspiracy. So lovely. Now, Salinas had worked also as a volunteer for Ron DeSantis on his Education Agenda Tour, according to social media posts reviewed by the Daily Beast. So DeSantis, who, again, is going in a massive culture war against trans people, against critical race theory, against LGBTQ people in a state, banning books. So obvious, it's an obvious team up. But it gets worse. Turns out there's anti-Semitism in there. In March of this year, Salinas shared a Facebook post entitled this: The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Basically, that's a series of anti-Semitic tropes about an alleged Jewish conspiracy to control the world. Oops. Turns out, you a white supremacist. You an anti-Semite. Because guess what? That's part of being a white supremacist, is being anti-Semitic. Oops. Yeah. Now, that post, by the way, was up until Wednesday, until she deleted it, after it being flagged by the group Miami Against Fascism. After the deletion, she replaced it with a picture of an armed Israeli Defense Force soldier in front of a tank, with the words, "People never seen this. I love my Jewish people." Your Jewish people? Now, look, here's the thing. I've told you, I've explained before why the far right loves the right-wing government of Israel. Not only are they actively impressing Palestinian Muslims, because they are, but they're also the fact that, you know, the state of Israel plays into the Christian end times belief. Remember, they think that if all the Jews go back to Israel, that event is going to lead to the kickoff of the end times, where there's a holy war that destroys the world as Christians get raptured into heaven. Like Jesus comes back and then hoovers them all up into heaven with a giant vacuum cleaner. I don't know how it works. It's weird. And it's not even in the Bible. There is no such thing as a rapture inside the Bible. But as far as that pertains to Jewish people, most of them, the majority of them, die in this holy war. Save for a few thousand that get saved. And then, of course, they, you know, a lot of them, I guess, are supposed to convert to Christianity. And there it is. Now, look, to be fair, I don't know if that's what she personally believes, but that is a belief that is shared by a lot of members of the far right, evangelical Christians. So now, I do know that based on what she has shared, she is no friend of the Jewish people. If she's sharing anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about a Jewish takeover in the world, just saying. Now, Salinas is also a registered Republican, and she got radicalized during COVID, or at least more politically active during COVID. In October of 2020, Salinas was interviewed briefly in a segment by PBS NewsHour about Florida voters. Apparently, she had come from Cuba, and she says, "My biggest fear is they talk about the Democratic Party. They talk about socialism. Socialism and communism going in the same way." Oh, here we go with the, you know,
pink-haired communists.
Oh, boy. She told PBS that she had fled Cuba for the United States when she was 21 years old. "The reason why we came here," she said, "I remember I was little." You were 21. I was so little, though, when I was 21. "And I say, I need to live. It's too much oppression in the dictator, so I don't want this for my kids. I want my kids to keep their freedom," she told the program. In August of 2021, Salinas attended a protest against masks in Miami-Dade schools, where she was photographed standing next to Enrique Tarrio, the former leader of the Proud Boys. Again, convicted of seditious conspiracy. Oops. And by the way, that was after Tarrio had been implicated in the January 6th Capitol riots, for which he was later, again, convicted of seditious conspiracy. Salinas, though, believes that he's just a political prisoner. They're all political prisoners. Just over a year later, Salinas attended another rally organized by the Proud Boys in support of a man named Christopher Morzan, a far extremist nicknamed the Cuban Confederate, at a protest in November of 2022. Salinas could be seen there wearing a Ron DeSantis t-shirt and hat. A month earlier, Morzan was physically assaulted in Hialeah, Florida, ending up in the hospital. Immediately afterwards, Senator Marco Rubio tweeted out that the attack was politically motivated. Turns out there was no evidence of that. Morzan had been out canvassing for Rubio's campaign, he claimed. However, an incident report from the Hialeah Police Department made no mention of a political motive. Nonetheless, right-wing groups, they kind of course, they rallied around him. Well, the article says, despite his history of racist and white supremacist beliefs, but I think it's not despite it, it's because of it. Morzan was one who took part in the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. So he was marching along with the people that said the Jews were not replaces blood and soil. I wonder who the white supremacists are. And I got news for you. If you're if you're hanging around white supremacists and you're friends with white supremacists and you're not denouncing white supremacists, what does it make you? It makes you white supremacist. Just saying. By the way, that Unite the Right rally ended with the death of anti-fascist protester Heather Heyer, run down by a fascist. Now, Morzan was also previously a member of the League of the South, a hate group, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And of course, Morzan claims to have resigned from the group in 2021 and disavowed his former views. That's who she defends. That's who she is in favor of. Weird. Now, it's not just Proud Boys. A review of Selena's social media posts also reveal her involvement in other right-wing campaigns. For example, in October of 2022, she took part in a rally outside the Miami-Dade school board offices with Citizens Defending Freedom, a conservative advocacy group described by critics as Christian nationalists, also known as Nazis. Oops. CCDF is linked to Turning Point USA and Alliance Defending Freedom. The right-wing group ran beyond numerous anti-LGBTQ bills across the U.S. Salinas was there in the protest wearing a black t-shirt with the words American Patriot emblazoned across it. Doesn't sound like a patriot. Sounds like a neo-Nazi. Now, she claims that, getting back to her book ban, she's not for banning books. No. She loves books. What are you talking about? I just want them to be age appropriate. I hate the indoctrination of children, she says. We'll get a load of what one of her favorite books seems to be. Ready for it? It's The Kid's Guide to Ron DeSantis by Mike Huckabee. Constantly sharing it on her social media. Can't make this one up. Gee, I wonder if all these book bans that are going on in right-wing areas aren't actually about protecting children. Aren't actually about stopping left-wing indoctrination, but just trying to impose right-wing indoctrination. That's it. By the way, that book ended up not being removed from the school. A committee at the school decided to reshelve the books in the middle school section, according to meeting minutes viewed by the Daily Beast, despite the books being recommended for younger readers. And the reason is, again, there was nothing objectionable in those books. The issue here, though, the whole point of complaining and having them moved is so, at least in my view, the right-wing propaganda can get to them first. This is what this is about. It's not the left that's after your kids. It's the right. And it's not to protect children. It's to protect them, their own dominance, the right-wing dominance over culture. Okay. Moving on, let's go to being of the right wing, coming for, well, let's talk about Charlie Kirk. How about that? Gen Z ain't here for right-wing culture. Good. And that's why I love Gen Z. Okay. Target has become the newest target of the conservative culture war. Mediaite reports that the company is the latest focal point of anti-trans hatred after they had offered inclusive merchandise for Pride. Oh, wow. Now, Target ended up actually pulling that due to backlash. Now, they said that they have not specified which stores or in which regions the merchandise was pulled from the shelves, but in southern states, the AP reports that Pride-themed items were moved to the back of the store. They get it to the back of the store. Pride, no, You know what? Pride.
Can't let that happen.
Can't have those things out there. Now, what exactly are the things that right-wingers were mad about? Adult swimsuits marketed to transgender women as tuck-friendly with extra crotch coverage. Okay. And? Now, note there, adult swimsuits. For some reason, having those swimsuits angered right-wingers. Imagine being so angry about things that you will never wear and don't affect your life in any way that I guess in some cases, like, for example, Alex Stein literally did go and put one of those on. I don't know, for comedy, I mean, the sense of humor that these people have is, well, it's not funny, and it's just nothing but mean-spirited. Isn't comedy supposed to be about punching up, not punching down? But then again, that's what right-wing comedy is. It's just nothing but punching down. So, there you go. Now, that said, this angered people. And I mentioned that it's adult swimsuits, right? Again, adult swimsuits angered right-wingers. But see, it doesn't anger normal people. Normal people are not, enraged when a transgender person gets a swimsuit that is a little bit more fitting to them. Okay? So in order to get around that, people lie. These right-wingers, they come out and they lie, and they said that Target is targeting children, putting these trans-friendly swimsuits in children's sizes. But wait, that's not true. Okay, that's just not the reality of the situation. But when it comes to them,
Just forget about the evidence.
of course, they have to make things up to get others on their side, normal people on their side, in order to justify the fact that they do not want trans people to exist. That's the only reason you would go after inclusive swimsuits for adults, is that you do not want trans people to go to the beach. They don't want them at the beach. They don't want them in the stores. They don't want them walking around as they are. They don't want transgender people in society. They are trying to literally erase them from existence. That's what they're doing. And so, look, this smear, these lies against trans people and against Target, but I don't really care about Target. They're a multinational corporation, but I do care about the Target employees who have been harassed by right-wingers, by insane people. And guess what? In the face of all of that, Target decided to cave. We're going to give in. Given these volatile circumstances, according to a statement, we are making adjustments to our plans, including removing items that have been at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. So now look, I get one thing. Employees do not deserve to be harassed by stupid people, by insane people. They don't deserve to be assaulted. They already don't make enough money. Pay your employees better. For God's sakes, let them have a union. But at the same time, too, I have to note that the amount of, assaults that go on against, workers that are working at Target or working at these different places, it kind of pales in comparison to what the harassment that LGBTQI plus people are going through right now as well. So it's pretty disproportionate. And while both are terrible, one happens far more than the other. Trans people are targeted all the time in some of the most horrible, horrific, violent ways. And they're also being targeted through legislation, through laws that are targeting their own existence. Nobody deserves this. And so what Target could have done is hire more security. Oh, but right, they're not going to, because guess what? That cuts into profit margins. Right. And instead of, taking a little bit of a risk and standing up and defending trans people, they bowed to the mob. That's what they're doing. They bowed to the mob. And you know what that's going to do? This capitulation by Target is not going to make right-wingers happy. No, it's going to embolden them even more. In fact, I have a video here from Turning Point USA's Charlie Kirk, basically saying that no, we're going to get even more, we're going to inflict more pain.
We're in a murder quagmire in Illinois, and we're moving that way in many states in the nation, right, where we not only
There's something really exciting happening with Target, everybody. So Target has a target on their back. Target is freaking out. Target is holding emergency meetings. They're worried that they're losing their customer base. Everybody, keep the pressure on. We need to go after Target in a very serious way. It is time for decent, ordinary Americans who do not believe in radical ideas in either direction to just say, I will not allow my kids to be corrupted by this trans agenda. And it looks, Target is, it looks like they're caving. They say they're putting the clothes in the back. I want Target to go bankrupt. I want them to close. I want Chapter 11, okay?
Somebody else can buy them up.
No,
somebody conservative. Because they're going to be a bunch of empty buildings.
Yeah, no, I want them to go Chapter 11. People say, what does success look like? Chapter 11, okay? I want skull and bones all the way down to the absolute nails of the stores. Yeah, that's the only thing they understand is force. Pain is a teacher. And the pain of crossing the line to pervert our children and grooming them, it's going to be a lesson I hope corporate America watches, because ordinary America is pushing back. We must push for the bankruptcy of Target. Make it happen, everybody.
The only thing they understand is force. Pain is a teacher. Pain is a teacher. Now, look, he says, well, we're just going to make them bankrupt. Well, what are you talking about? I'm not talking about violence. Pain is a teacher. They're perverting our children. They're grooming their children. But we should make them bankrupt. But the only thing they understand is force. Come on, the subtext there is very, very clear. If somebody goes and shoots up a target, I'm not going to be surprised. But what you see there is deniability. Plausible deniability. You could never really, based on that, paint, Charlie Kirk is advocating for stochastic terrorism. No, you can't even make the implication that he's doing that, because it doesn't say that in there. The subtext definitely does. Come on. But look, even if, it's never enough for them. This is never enough. Target already caved. But make no mistake, okay? Make no mistake. He is wrong just about all of that, right? But he's also wrong that ordinary Americans are the ones that are pushing back. No, this is a minority of very well-funded and organized right-wing hate groups that have come for trans people. That's it. GLAAD pointed out that according to its research, 3 out of 4 non-LGBTQ people are very comfortable seeing LGBTQ people in ads. And that when a brand publicly supports LGBTQ plus rights, Americans are overall twice as likely to support that brand. Now, look, that's because Americans generally overall are not hateful people. We're an inclusive bunch, and generally we don't care what other people do with their own lives. Doesn't really matter. But see, here's the thing. The right wing thinks it matters, and the right wing has a message, and they lie. They use that message. They spread propaganda about them being pedos and groomers, which is just not true. But anyway, they did the same thing against Bud Light, against Anheuser-Busch. They saw a 17% decrease in weekly sales following the outrage over Dylan Mulvaney. So now that's when, by the way, Chuds en masse, they attacked her, they attacked Anheuser-Busch. Now, I'm not saying this because I like Anheuser-Busch. I'm not defending Anheuser-Busch. I'm not defending Target. I think they're terrible corporations. Target gave tons and tons of money to Republicans. Anheuser-Busch gave tons of money to Republicans who've been pushing this kind of anti-trans crap. And so basically what Target was doing is engaging in rainbow washing. Rainbow capitalism, that's what it is. That's what their Pride collection was all about. Making money. And, well, now that they get threatened, oh no, we're just going to bow to the right-wing mob. That said, when it comes to the loss in sales for Bud Light, was it from Chuds not buying Bud Light? Well, yeah, sure. 17%. I mean, that's pretty big. But there were also stories, and I do have to mention this, of people being attacked by insane people for buying Bud Light, or what appeared to be Bud Light, or what they assumed was Bud Light. So, I mean, the right thinks, though, they look at this and they think, well, the normies are siding with this. No, in reality, most people, I think, are just trying to avoid the unhinged far-right extremists. Look, Morning Consult found that the average beer-drinking American is far more accepting of a transgender spokesperson than the right wing would have you believe. In the survey, which was conducted approximately 2 weeks after the controversy started, a majority of regular monthly beer drinkers in the U.S. said that they would feel favorable toward a beer brand that worked with a trans spokesperson. Average people are not anti-trans. Average people are in favor of trans rights and gay rights. Now, that said, there are some people who do fall for the message of the far right without even realizing it. And it's because we are all predisposed to want to protect children from predators. Of course. Of course. Now, that said, the predators, they're not trans people. They're not gay people. No, the predators, by and large, are mostly white cis men in this country. Many of them happen to be in the clergy, religious. Over a period of about 7 decades, this is a story that came out just recently, the Catholic Church in Illinois allowed for more than 450 credibly accused child sex abusers to continue to have access to parishioners. This is a big report in the New York Times. That figure is actually more than 4 times that, which the church had publicly disclosed before 2018 when the state of Illinois began investigating the matter. The state's report found that clergy members and lay religious brothers abused at least 1,997 children since 1950 in the state's 6 dioceses. The report added 149 names to lists of child sex abusers whom the dioceses themselves had publicly identified before or during the investigation. You want to find the pedophiles? You want to find the groomers? There they are. They're in the churches. They're not buying a swimsuit at Target for trans people. No. They're in the churches. They're in Republican politics. Look at Roy Moore. Look, the far right, in putting out these smears, is monstrous. Not only, again, is it not true, but as a result of what they're doing, is they're hurting innocent people. They're hurting innocent people while completely ignoring the real predators. And in the case of Matt Walsh, actually defending them, people like Josh Duggar, who is a predator. That's who they are. Never let them forget it. It's pre-genocidal discourse. 100%. 100%. Okay. One more story here. Representative Maxwell Frost deconstructed a popular talking point used against relieving millions of people from student loan debt. And apparently he offended a Republican while doing it, so even better. Now, the talking point in question, we hear it a lot. And it basically goes, if we relieve the debt of people now, that's going to negatively affect the people who have already paid. That doesn't make sense because the people who've already paid no longer have the debt and it's no longer causing issues. nonetheless. In response to the narrative here, Frost told a fellow Republican, not fellow Republican, but a Republican colleague, this, quote, "If we legislated using that logic that you bring to this issue today, women and black folks wouldn't have the right to vote because it would be unfair to those who never got to vote before them. If we legislated using your logic that because there was an injustice, we can't fix it because it's unfair to those who never had it fixed, means we would never progress on any issue in this country." Well, yes, that's exactly the plan. And Maxwell Frost points it out perfectly, because the whole plan of the Republican Party is not to progress at all. They're not a progressive party. They're a regressive party. They want to actually take us back. And in doing so, never fixing any issue if it helps working people. Now, he added this. This is what really got Virginia Fox's goat. "Why do you bring that bigoted logic to this issue as it relates to students, but not any other issue?" Well, she can't, because, well, if she did openly, wouldn't go over well. But no doubt, there are right-wingers out there that do not believe white women and African Americans of any gender, sex, should be able to vote. That's it. I mean, yes, would they get rid of women's suffrage? Of course. Of course they would. Returning it to wealthy white landowners. Now, apparently, if you remind them, though, well, they get a little mad. It hurts their feelings, because immediately Representative Virginia Fox said this, quote, "I demand his words be taken down." Yeah, okay, Karen. If Frost then said, "Okay, I'm going to take the word back, but here's what I'm going to say instead." He said, "If we use this logic on every single issue, we would never have progress on anything. And the truth of the matter is that young people and people don't have student debt because we live beyond our means. We have student debt because we've been denied the means to live." And again, that is an incredibly powerful statement, and it's absolutely true. So look, most of the older people who criticize student debt relief, they don't quite understand the current situation. And I'm saying to the people who are criticizing student debt relief, they don't quite understand how difficult it is now and how expensive an education has gotten. Remember, a lot of those people didn't have student debt because they could afford to work part-time while paying tuition. Okay, they could have a part-time job and pay their tuition with their paychecks. That is no longer the case. So let me have some, throw some numbers at you, right? In 1963, the annual cost of tuition at a four-year public college was $243. Now, of course, you need to adjust that for inflation, right? So adjusted for inflation, that $243 had the same buying power as $2,372.42. That's using December's values, December of 2022, their currency values. So now that's annually, okay? Still a lot cheaper, a lot cheaper than going to school now. Now, from 1963 to 2022, you had an increase in the cost of tuition of 295.2% after adjusting for inflation. Between 2010 and 11 and 2020 to 21, those school years, before adjusting for inflation, the average tuition increased by 23.2%, 23.6% at just two-year colleges. So even those two-year colleges getting a lot more expensive as well. During the same period, the average tuition increased by 41.9% at public four-year institutions, and actually less, 35.5% at private nonprofit four-year institutions. From 2000 to 2020, the average post-secondary tuition inflation outpaced wage inflation of 111.4%. So that's a lot of data that I just threw at you. A lot of numbers. But basically, way more expensive than it was before, outpacing the amount of money that you would make. So, again, even when you graduate college, you get your shiny degree and you manage to get a good job, still, the amount of money that you're making has been outpaced by the cost of getting that education to get that job in the first place. So understand that how students have been screwed. All right. So that said, there's more. The average cost of college in the United States per year is $35,551 per student per year, including books, supplies, and daily living expenses. Anybody who's been into college, generally, unless you're wealthy, lives pretty cheap. Lives on ramen and Little Caesars pizza, which, by the way, is delicious. Both of those things are actually pretty delicious. All right. Now, when you factor in, though, student loan interest and the loss of income when you're in school, the ultimate cost of a bachelor's degree, 4-year degree, can exceed $500,000. Again, that's 4 years that you are not working, and you are adding this interest on top. In fact, students that are unable to work full-time because they're in school actually end up losing a median annual income of $42,068. Student borrowers also pay on average of $2,186 in interest each year, and the average student borrower spends roughly 20 years paying off loans. Sometimes longer if you can't actually afford your balance. So you have all of this interest that's added on. So this is the big problem here. School is way more expensive than it ever has been, than it ever should be. People who went to school back in 1963 or 1980, who went to college back then and graduated, they're not facing the same environment as students who have, graduated within the last 10, maybe 20 years, who are still paying off massive amounts of loans that they had to get for school, that have had the interest pile up so much that they barely made a dent in their principal. This is the problem. This is the problem. And let me show you, by the way, a graph here, chart. This is a historical cost of tuitions and fees for higher education, starting in the 1970s all the way up to the 2020-2021 school year. I mean, you can just see that massive increase, especially in, of course, private four-year colleges, obviously. But then again, you also have the private and public 4-year and 2-year respectively, still massively increasing. Especially, I mean, look at how much it went from 2000 to 2021. That's the problem. Now, that said, Virginia Fox was offended that you would bring up any of this stuff and try to dismantle that argument. Why? Well, it's because she directly profits off the high amounts of student loan debt. Let me give you some more numbers here. In numerous election cycles, the almost 2-decade North Carolina representative has been the leading recipient of donations from the for-profit education industry and from student loan companies, these student loan servicers. According to Open Secrets, she received over $665,000 from the for-profit education industry, which has a history of ripping off students and leaving them with high amounts of student loans while giving them essentially worthless degrees. And another $86,000 from student loan companies. In 2006, at the start of her re-election campaign, she was one of the leading House recipients of cash from student loan corporations, raking in over $10,000 from the industry, From 2014 through 2022, she remained in the top 10 recipients from the industry. And in 2016 and 2018, she became the leading recipient of this money. And in the for-profit education industry, the figures are even bigger. From 2016 to 2022, Fox was the #1 recipient of cash from the industry, collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars each cycle. In 2014, she was the #2 leading recipient. In 2012, the 7th leading one. So, as the donations increased, look what happened. Oh, she ended up basically defending the student loan companies even more. The for-profit schools that rip people off even more. And of course, coming out and being wholly against and offended at the idea of doing any sort of student loan debt relief. She is corrupt. Of course she's going to be against student loan debt relief because that's where she gets her money, a big chunk of money. Also, another reason that she is paid by these companies is because she comes out and says things like this. Quote, I have very little tolerance for people who tell me that they graduate with $200,000 of debt or even $80,000 of debt because there's no reason for that. Yes, there is. Actually, there is a reason for that. It's you. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, Virginia Fox. You're the reason it's so expensive, or at least part of the reason. You and the rest of the cronies in Congress who take corporate bribes from these corporations, from these for-profit companies and student loan debt servicers that get fat off the misery of someone who's trying to get a better education so that they can actually live the American dream. That's who it is. Now, Fox also complained that students just wanted, quote-unquote, success dumped in their lap.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
It's not the success. No, that's the money bags in her lap. That's what she's getting dumped in her lap all the time. Those money bags would disappear, by the way, if college was free. So no wonder she's against any sort of student loan debt relief. Boy, it sure would be a shame if we shut down that grift. Now, that's the thing, though. Biden's plan doesn't do that. It is a small measure of very watered-down, means-tested student debt relief. But it could still make a world of difference to the people who are suffering under massive amounts of student loan debt relief student loan debt right now. It would be some relief, even though we should actually do cancellation. We should get rid of all of that. But even what we have now, the modest amount of student debt relief proposed by the Biden administration that's being blocked by Republicans is too much. It's too much for her owners. It's too much for her paymasters. Understand who these people are. They're ghouls. They're corrupt. Paid for. Bought out. And the only thing that she was really offended by when it came to Maxwell Frost pointing this out is someone that's getting in the way, disrupting her corrupt payday. How dare you? How dare you, Maxwell Frost? How dare you come from my money? Come from my grift. Well, we are coming for your grift. We're going to end it one way or another. Okay. All right. So, let's end the show with that. Thank you, everybody. So, let's see. Let's go to Super Chats here. Gabby Matzis, thank you for the very kind 2 gifted memberships. Koru, thank you for gifting a membership as well. Virginia Thomas, a.k.a. S Dragon, says, people that threaten employees just haven't run up on the right person. I know folk that would say, F this job, and beat the S out of them. I don't advocate for violence or anything like that, but yeah, there are certainly some people out there that would not put up with this. And I just say that, if that happens, and I'm against violence, but you play stupid games, you might win stupid prizes. Which is probably why they shouldn't do that. Okay. Oh, happy birthday, Jules T, in the chat. Hopefully, it is an excellent and very happy birthday for you. So, all right. Let's go over here to Twitch, our Twitch community. Let's see. Let's see. That is not what I want to do. Insanity in the control room. But hey, at least I'm not trying to launch a presidential campaign. All right. I don't know if you're sending anything on the Twitch stream as far as like gifted subs or anything like that. But hey, thank you for watching. You can help us by gifting subs or going in and subbing on the different platforms that we are on. So you can do that. Helps out. Or go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. All right. With that, we are going to raid in on Twitch here. We'll do funny enough, we'll do a KF Logan 1875 raid. There you go. All right. Everyone, thank you. Have a great day. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See you all back here tomorrow.
I will eat your ass. Oh no!
Sexual anarchy.
Peachtree dish.
I like my knees tight. Tighten up my knees. The Republican Party's racist.
Disappointed!
Wet-ass keywords.
Like a shark, NATO, except for poop.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.